How to bulk up fast as a skinny guy, the complete guide. My name is Josh, and in this video, I'm going to teach you everything I know about bulking so that you can make real progress and avoid all of the most common mistakes. We're going to go over what bulking is, why I think you should bulk, and how to do it the most effectively. When I started my journey in high school, I was 140 pounds, and throughout the past 3 years, I've been able to put on 40 pounds of muscle and bulk all the way up to 180 pounds. I could have saved myself a lot of time if I knew all the things that I'm going to teach you in this video, so stay tuned. So what is bulking? Essentially, bulking is eating in a caloric surplus, so eating more than your body needs to maintain its weight. A surplus of calories means that you're consuming more calories than your body burns daily. And if you don't know your maintenance calories, you can use the calculator that I put in the description below. These calculators aren't perfect, so what I recommend is tracking your calories through an entire week, following what they recommend, and whether you gain weight or lose weight, adjust your calories accordingly. So now that you know your maintenance calories, you're probably wondering, how much do I need to eat to bulk properly? There are two methods that I hear commonly discussed, which is a lean bulk and a dirty bulk. A lean bulk is a calorie surplus of 250 to 500 calories, which equals about 0.2 to 1 pound of gain per week. A dirty bulk, on the other hand, is where you're consuming a surplus of 500 to 1,000 calories and gaining 2 or more pounds per week. My personal recommendation is a lean bulk on the higher end, so about 500 calories, aiming for 1 pound of gain per week. And it's super important that you keep track of your weight day to day, not week to week, day to day. I recommend using a smart scale so you don't have to worry about keeping track of all the numbers. And remember, when you're weighing yourself in the morning, make sure you do it first thing before you drink any water and after you use the restroom. So now that you know the calories for a bulk, you're probably wondering, is bulking right for me? The answer is probably yes. The only exception is if you're above 15% body fat, then I would recommend going on a quick cut and then starting a bulk. And if you don't know your body fat, you can calculate it using the Navy method linked in the description. So once you're in a bulk, you're probably wondering how long I should bulk for. And there's two answers to this question. One is if you bulk all the way up to 20% body fat, then I would recommend cutting down and starting another bulk. Two is if you've been bulking for 6 to 12 months, then I would recommend a mini cut to reduce diet fatigue and other benefits. So now that you understand the basics of bulking, I'm going to go into detail on the nutrition. So when you're considering how to split up your calories throughout the day, there's 3 micronutrients you need to keep track of. The first is protein, second is carbs, and the third is fats. You can calculate how much protein you need by multiplying your body weight by 0.7 to 1 gram per pound. I personally like to go on the higher end. So for me, I'm eating around 180 grams of protein per day. One tip that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is your ratio of carbs to fat. What I recommend is starting with a moderate amount of carbs and fats and then playing around with it to see what works best for you. And remember to make sure that all your macronutrients add up to your total daily calorie goal. So now that we understand macronutrients, we need to know what foods to eat during our bulk. For proteins, I recommend lean meats like 90-10 ground beef and chicken thighs. I choose chicken thighs over chicken breasts because they're a lot more palatable and have a little bit higher calories. Other great sources of protein are fatty fish like salmon, eggs, and lean dairy. For your carbs, I recommend pasta, rice, sweet potatoes, and sourdough. But there's a whole range of options you can choose from. And lastly, you'll probably want to add in some healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, and nut butters. Now, obviously, you want the majority of what you eat to come from clean sources like the ones I mentioned before. Personally, I follow the 80-20 principle, where 80% of my calories come from clean, whole food sources, and the other 20% comes from junkier foods. This might be something like pizza, burger, or fast food. I just make sure that I hit my protein goal of 180 grams per day. Now on to a few bonus tips for bulking. Bonus tip number 1 is liquid calories. Things like shakes and smoothies are really easy to get down and very customizable when it comes to macros. At the end of every night, I have a 1,000-calorie shake with 80 grams of protein. My second major tip is timing out your meals. So setting a meal timer on your phone so you know exactly when you need to eat, so you can spread your calories out throughout the day. I recommend an even split of calories and protein. So for a 3,000-calorie diet with 160 grams of protein, you can split it up into 4 big meals. Each of those meals having 750 calories and 40 grams of protein. Lastly, to finish off nutrition, I'm going to tell you what supplements I recommend. There are 2 I think almost everybody should be using: creatine and protein powder. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements and has been shown to help build muscle and improve recovery. And protein powder is an extremely easy way to hit your protein goal every single day. And my last tip with nutrition, and something that slowed my gains down a ton, is not tracking properly. You want to make sure that you track everything that goes into your body, especially on a bulk. That way, you can make sure that if you hit any plateaus, you know the issue. So now that you've got your diet in check, it's time to get into the gym and train. Training is essential for muscle growth. And if you don't train properly, you'll put all those calories to waste. Just like with nutrition, the most important part of training is your progression. You're going to want to follow something called progressive overload. where every single week you increase either weight, reps, or sets. So how often should you be training? You want to make sure that you hit every single muscle group at least 2 times per week. This means avoiding a bro split. The splits I recommend for a beginner are a 3-day full body split or a 4-day upper lower split. And if you're ready to take your physique to the next level, apply to my one-on-one coaching in the link below. So now that we know when to lift, you're going to want to know the best exercises to use on a bulk. I think your main focus should be around compound lifts, such as the barbell bench press, squat, and deadlift. Putting these primary exercises at the beginning of every workout makes progression extremely easy to track. Because if your numbers are going up, you know you're getting stronger, then you know you're building muscle. You want to make sure that along with these compound movements, you want to include some isolation movements for each body part. So using the quads as an example, I might start with a compound movement like the barbell back squat and then go into isolation like a leg extension. For each exercise, I like to do between 2 and 3 sets. In between each set, I'm resting for around 3 to 5 minutes for compound movements and 1 to 2 minutes for isolation. For beginners, you want to really make sure you dial in on form and consistency, showing up every day you plan to work out. And when you're transitioning from beginner to intermediate, you're going to want to make sure that you're pushing yourself really hard and increasing volume over time. Now, with all that hard training out of the way, you're going to want to make sure that you recover from it properly. It's crucial that you get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. Alongside sleep, it's really important that you manage your stress throughout your day. Having a high stress can actually lead to reduced muscle gain. And in order to prevent injury, it's crucial that you warm up properly before each and every workout. If you want help, comment below. So now that you're ready to bulk, I'm going to tell you all of the most common mistakes that I've made in the past. Mistake number 1 is doing a dirty bulk. It might seem all as well. You want to put on a lot of size really quickly. The issue is you cannot sustain that. After a while, you will get diet fatigue and you won't be able to eat the same way. And after all is said and done, you'll realize that you made barely any gains. Another mistake is not increasing your calories as your weight starts to increase. Of course, your body burns more calories as it starts to grow, and you need to compensate that by keeping track of your nutrition. And lastly, a super big mistake I made is comparing myself to others. The only comparison that is worthy to make is between you now and you when you started. And when I look at it that way, I've made a ton of progress. So now that you're ready to transform your physique, let's go over the key points of bulking. Eat in a caloric surplus, eat enough protein each and every day, progressive overload, and recover. Remember, a lean bulk is the most efficient way to gain size. Also, make sure you track your calories every single day and adjust accordingly. All of this takes time, so consistency and patience are key. Subscribe for more videos related to bulking and comment below what you want to see next.